Your Nginx server block is a router. Just like an Express app routes /API/users to one handler and /static to another, Nginx routes URL paths to different backends, directories, or responses. Without explicit routing, everything goes to one backend. This is fine for simple apps. But as your application grows, you'll need to route /API to node.js while serving /assets directly from disk, proxy /webhooks to a separate microservice on port 3001, return 404 immediately for bot traffic to /wpadmin or /env without even touching node.js, add rate limiting for /login while leaving other paths unlimited. All of this is location block routing. You configure Nginx once, and it handles these distinctions for every single request without your node.js code ever seeing the requests that shouldn't reach it. The performance and security benefits of this pattern are significant. A bot sending thousands of requests to /wpadmin can be handled and rejected by Nginx in microseconds, without consuming a node.js worker thread. Static assets served by Nginx don't queue behind API requests in your node.js event loop. Each layer handles what it's optimized for. In this chapter, we'll go beyond the basic proxy_pass and build routing configurations that work for real production applications. The proxy_pass directive has a subtle but important behavior difference based on whether you include a trailing slash. This is one of the most common Nginx misconfiguration bugs. Without a trailing slash, location/API, proxy_pass http //localhost 3000. A request for /API/users is forwarded as /API/users to node.js. The /API prefix is preserved. With a trailing slash, location API, proxy_pass http //localhost 3000/. A request for /API/users is forwarded as /users to node.js. The API prefix is stripped. The rule: if proxy_pass has a URI component, a path after the hostname, Nginx replaces the location prefix in the forwarded request. If proxy_pass has no URI component, the full request URI is forwarded unchanged. When to use which: if your node.js app expects to see API in the path, don't use trailing slashes. If your node.js app is at the root and you're mounting it at API in Nginx, use trailing slashes to strip the prefix. Example of when this matters: location API, proxy_pass http //localhost 3000/. A request for /API/users reaches node.js as /users. Your Express app has router.get /users, it matches. If you omit the trailing slashes, /API/users reaches node.js as /API/users, and Express has no route for /API/users, so it returns 404. Test carefully. The trailing slash is a one-character difference that changes routing behavior significantly. One of the most practical uses of location blocks is blocking known malicious or irrelevant traffic before it reaches node.js. This saves node.js worker threads for legitimate requests. Common block pattern: immediately return 404 or 444 for known bad paths, location /.env, return 444, location /.get, return 444, location /wpadmin, return 444, location /wplugin, return 444, location /myadmin, return 444, location /.taxes, return 444, return 444, connection closed, no response, rather than 404 for these paths. 444 provides no information to the attacker about what kind of server you're running. 404 at least confirms the server is running and responding. The prefix means regex match, case sensitive. Asterisk is case insensitive, better for paths like /myadmin that attackers might capitalize. Location */ get env taxes _history, return 444, catches multiple patterns in one rule. These blocks go before your main location /block. Because of Nginx's matching priority regex before prefix, they'll be checked first in short circuit before the request reaches proxy_pass. You can see the immediate effect. grep for /wpadmin and /var/log/nginx/access.log will show all these blocked requests. Many servers get hundreds of these per day from automated scanners. None of them should touch node.js. Rate limiting prevents a single client from overwhelming your server. Nginx's rate limiting module works at the IP address level and is configured in two steps: define the zone, then apply the limit. In the HTTP block of nginx.conf, define a rate limit zone, limit_req_zone equals API, 10M rate equals 10 or /s. This creates a zone named API that uses 10 megabytes of shared memory, stores binary IP addresses, about 16,000 IPs per MB, and allows 10 requests per second per IP. In your location block, apply the zone, limit_req zone equals API burst equals 20 nodelay. This applies the API zone. Burst equals 20 allows a short burst of up to 20 requests before the rate limit kicks in. Nodejs means burst requests are served immediately, not queued. A specific rate limit for login endpoints, limit_req_zone equals login, 10m rate equals 5 or /m, 5 requests per minute for login. Then in the location block, limit_req zone equals login burst equals 3 nodejs. When a client exceeds the rate limit, Nginx returns 429 too many requests by default. You can customize this, limit_req_status 429, rate limiting at Nginx is fundamentally more efficient than rate limiting in node.js. A rate-limited request at Nginx is handled before it consumes a node.js worker thread or a database connection. If you're relying on node.js middleware like express rate limit as your only protection, you're wasting resources on traffic that Nginx could have rejected earlier. As your architecture grows, you might have multiple node.js services, an API server, an auth service, a webhook receiver, each running on a different port. Nginx routes requests to the right service based on the URL path. Server, listen 443 SSL, server_name mapp.com, location API, proxy_pass http //localhost 3000 / location out, proxy_pass http //localhost 4000 / location webhooks, proxy_pass http // localhost 5000 / client_max_body_size 10m, location / root /var /www /myapp /build, try_files / index.html, the single server block routes, anything under API to the main API on port 3000, anything under IoT to an auth service on port 4000, anything under webhooks to a webhook receiver on port 5000 with a larger body size limit. Webhooks often carry substantial payloads, and everything else serves the React SPA directly from disk. Each backend can have its own configuration, different timeouts for slow operations, different body size limits for upload endpoints, different rate limiting for login-like flows. WebSockets require specific Nginx configuration because they work differently from standard HTTP requests. A WebSocket connection starts as an HTTP upgrade request and then switches to a persistent bidirectional connection. For WebSocket support, your location block needs location/ws, proxy_pass http / localhost 3000, proxy_http version 1.1, proxy_set_header upgrade, proxy_set_header connection upgrade, proxy_set_header host, proxy_read timeout 3600s, proxy_send timeout 3600s, proxy_http version 1.1. WebSockets require http/1.1, which supports the upgrade mechanism. The default is http/1.0. Proxy_set_header upgrade passes the upgrade header from the client's request to node.js. This tells node.js to upgrade the connection to WebSocket. Proxy_set_header connection upgrade tells the proxied server that this is an upgrade request. Proxy_read timeout 3600s. WebSocket connections are long-lived. Without extending the timeout, default is 60 seconds. Nginx will close idle WebSocket connections after a minute. If your application uses socket.io, this configuration works with the WebSocket transport. Socket.io will also fall back to long polling if WebSockets aren't available, which this configuration handles correctly since long polling uses standard HTTP. When Nginx can't reach your backend, node.js is down, returning 502 bad gateway. Nginx shows a generic error page. You can customize these to match your application's design or provide useful information. Error_page 502,503,504/maintenance.html. When Nginx gets a 502, 503, or 504 from the backend, or can't reach it, serve /maintenance.html instead. You also need a location block to serve this file. Location equals /maintenance.html, root /var /www/errors, internal. The internal directive means this location is only accessible internally. Nginx can serve it via error_page, but a user can't navigate to /maintenance.html directly. Common error codes to customize. 404, page not found. Customize with your app's 404 design. 500, internal server error from node.js. 502, bad gateway. Node.js is down. 503, service unavailable. 504, gateway timeout. Node.js took too long to respond. For a maintenance mode where you want to return 503 to all requests, in a temporary Nginx config, add return 503 in your main location block and define a custom 503 page. When maintenance is done, restore the proxy_pass and reload. Nginx maintains two types of logs, access log and error log. The access log records every request Nginx handles. By default /var/log/nginx/access.log. Each line contains the client IP, date, request line, HTTP status code, response size, refer, and user agent. This is invaluable for traffic analysis, debugging specific user issues, and identifying attack patterns. The error log records problems Nginx encounters. By default /var/log/nginx/error.log. This includes failed proxy connections, node.js down, config errors, and SSL problems. Configuring per site logs is better than relying on the global default. In your server block, access_log/var/log/nginx/myapaccess.log, error_log/var/log/nginx/myaperror.log warn. This separates log files per application, making it much easier to analyze traffic for a specific site. Useful log commands: tailf/var/log/nginx/access.log, follow the access log live. grep 502/var/log/nginx/access.log, find all 502 errors. grep 499/var/log/nginx/access.log, 499 means the client disconnected before Nginx finished. Large numbers of 499s indicate slow responses. awk print /var/log/nginx/access.log sort Unix sort rn head -20 top 20 IP addresses by request count. Nginx can cache responses from your node.js backend, serving subsequent requests directly from the cache without hitting node.js at all. This dramatically improves performance for slow or frequently accessed endpoints. Define a cache zone in the HTTP block. proxy_cache_path/var/cache/nginx levels equals 1:2 keys_zone equals APA_cache, 10M max_size equals 100M. This creates a cache stored in /var/cache/nginx, using 10 megabytes of memory for cache keys, with a maximum disk size of 100 megabytes. In a location block, proxy_cache APA_cache, proxy_cache_valid 205M, proxy_cache_use_stale error timeout. This caches 200 responses for 5 minutes. Proxy_cache_use_stale serves stale cached content if the backend times out or returns an error useful for resilience. Add a cache status header to debug, @_header x cache status. Then curl with I to see if responses are hit, miss, or bypass. Cache control: node.js can set cache control headers to control what Nginx caches and for how long. If node.js returns cache control, no cache or no store, Nginx won't cache. If it returns cache control, max age equals 300, Nginx caches for 5 minutes. Cache is most valuable for expensive, slow-changing API responses, dashboard summaries, product listings, configuration data. Don't cache authenticated user-specific data, real-time data, or anything with sensitive information. A practical question about the trailing/gotcha. Your Nginx config has location API, proxy_pass http://localhost 3000/. A user makes a request to /API/users. What path does node.js receive? Option A /API/users, the full original path including the API prefix. This would be the behavior if you used location /API and proxy_pass http://localhost 3000 without trailing slashes. Option B /users, the path with the API prefix stripped. This is the correct answer. When proxy_pass has a URI component, a trailing slash is a URI component, it's the path slash. Nginx strips the location prefix from the forwarded request. /API/users with location API and proxy_pass http://localhost 3000/users goes to node.js. Option C /API, just the matched prefix, not the full path. This is not how Nginx works. Option D, the full URL including domain http://localhost/API/users. Proxy_pass rewrites the scheme and host but preserves the path according to the trailing slash rules. The answer is B. This is critical to understand when routing multiple services. If you proxy API to a node.js app that expects its routes without the API prefix, use trailing slashes. If the app expects to see API in the path, omit trailing slashes. Always test location block routing after configuration changes with curl and print the request path your node.js app received. Console.log req path is sufficient.